Keep an eye out for Red Dot Book. It's gotta be here somewhere.
Patch 11.18, the final patch of the professional season, a Worlds patch. That's right, this patch 11.18 is the Worlds patch. Now, if we look through here, we can see some actually really cool art. Now, I'm going to begin this by saying that a lot of these changes are going to be extremely dumb, and they're going to be extremely dumb for a reason. What is that reason? Riot uses every Worlds patch. Now, those of you who have been here for as long as me, this is not news. None of this will be news, what I'm about to say. Riot uses these Worlds patches to push their favorite champions, to push down their least favorite champions. And basically, the popular champions, they get on Worlds, they get buffed unreasonably, and they start showing up. Let's actually read their thing here, and I'll Riot speak it to you. Every year, we compose a set of nerfs and buffs to breathe new life into the pro meta for Worlds. Basically, these old champions that they don't like, that keep showing up, they do not get to keep showing up. Doesn't it just set your heart aflame when you see your main champion on stage for the first time? Basically, if there's a popular pick that isn't being picked lately, they're going to give them unnecessary buffs. Or when your favorite team melts their enemies' faces off with ungodly new builds. Well, okay, that one doesn't typically happen, but okay. Since this is the first of 2 World Styles patches, we're cranking up the dissonance, but with style, of course. The solo queue must go on, so we've done our best not to corrupt regular gameplay. With that said, we're willing to revert any of these changes if they go too far, but we're hoping this bit of chaos will rock your world. I never knew Riot was just putting sarcasm right at the end. We've done our best not to corrupt regular gameplay. Now they're just saying that was sarcasm right there. Ugh. Anyway, the Pentakill album came out, so whatever. Anyway, let's go over the patch highlights. You can see right here they say all nerfs are exclusively pro targeted. Yeah. So, Aphelios. What happened with Aphelios? He's very broken right now. Let's read his thing. Aphelios' early game is very consistent right now, which explains his elevated presence in pro play recently. We're nerfing his laning phase to make it harder for him to get to his first item in scale. Something moonstones. So, I actually had to look this up. I shit you not, I had to look this up because I was legitimately surprised. Yeah, Aphelios' lethality is 27. I remembered it being 27, and like I had to go back and look because I'm like, there's no way this guy actually has 27 lethality, right? Like from memory, I was like, there's no way, but then yeah, he does. Now, how much is 27 lethality? Why does Aphelios become so broken? Let's actually look. If you have 100 armor and you knock off 35% of it due to Lord Dominic's regards, and then you knock off 27 due to his lethality, you're down there at 38 armor. Wow. So while your average champion has to deal with 65 armor on the opposing regular champion, Aphelios has to deal with 38. Now, let's say you're an average AD carry with, let's say, 130 armor at level 18 with Guardian Angel, right? So your average champion, your average AD carry deals with 84 armor. Aphelios deals with 57 armor. So if you have 130 armor at level 18, Aphelios only has to attack 57 of that. That's, wow, this guy scales extremely well. Have you ever seen Aphelios in a team fight? In the late game, he presses R. You see the blob of moon juice, and it's mooning towards its opponent, and he moons them, and there's moon explosions, right? And then you notice it. Everyone's health goes to like half, then it goes to like a fourth, then they're nearly dead, and then he roots them all, and then he like auto attacks once, and they all die, and you're like, huh? He just ulted, and they all died. What happened? Well, yeah, that's his Lord Dominic's regard and lethality stacking thing. No other AD carry that I know of gets lethality, and definitely not 27. This guy scales really well. So, what are they doing? What are they doing to nerf this unnecessary synergy between AD carries having a massive armor pen item and Aphelios getting massive lethality? They're nerfing his early game. See, remember, Worlds patch. Worlds patch. They want Aphelios to get to that mid to late game. They want him to shred you. They want him to obliterate the health bars. And everyone goes, oh my god, Aphelios, he's so hot. He's a misunderstood, quiet E-boy. And he just annihilated the opponent. So they're making it a little bit harder on his early game. That's about it. Ashe. Ashe, okay. I actually kind of disagree with Riot on this one. Not that they're nerfing Ashe, but I looked this up. So here's Ashe at all ranks. Second highest pick, 52% win rate. Here's Ashe at Plat Plus, 52% win rate. Here's Ashe at Diamond Plus, 51% win rate. Here's Ashe at Masters Plus, high 50% win rate. I gotta disagree with Riot on this one. I don't think they're really nerfing Ashe because of pro play. I think she's still extremely good into pro play. Is she nerf worthy? I think what's happening here is, yeah, she's like a little bit overpowered, but not more so than like Ezreal, right? So why is she getting nerfed? Because she's absolutely fucking the low ranks. Ashe's lane control early game goes a bit too far and wide. We're giving her opponents more space to play back without getting pierced by cones and cones of crystalline arrows. So that's actually not really what they're nerfing. What they are nerfing is her cooldown so that there's more space in between her arrows, more space to all in her. She's still gonna poke you. Now, Ashe never actually really used volley on cooldown, right? So this doesn't really do the biggest nerf from that perspective. What this is really nerfing is even into level 11 when it's got an 11 instead of a 9-second cooldown. What it's doing is it's giving the opponents more time to get in and all in her in between volleys. It's not giving them more space. It's not like reducing the range or anything like that. Volley waves are still going to whack you for damage. There's just going to be more time where you can get the all in before she gets another volley. Now, I did, of course, want to check something out. You might notice that Jax's Counter-Strike has a 14-second cooldown plus duration. Now, even if you go full duration, that means 16-second cooldown. That means Ashe has a longer cooldown in volley than Jax does at Counter-Strike at level 1. Just random trivia I thought would be funny. Did I read Aphelios' thing? I don't remember. Camille's steel-like resilience is a bit too high for her scaling power, so we're nerfing her shield early to make her more vulnerable in lane. So basically, let me do math for you guys here real quick. A champion like Kled can do a quick half your health bar during a trade. If Camille shields, that means that she will get only 30% of that damage into her. Okay? So instead of getting, a full 50%, she gets 30%. Now, can Camille do 30% damage in a trade? Yes. And with her W pokes and, obviously using Q twice during the trade, it can become very, very, very difficult for champions to outtrade Camille during the laning phase, particularly champions that need to outtrade her because she outscales them. So a champion like Kled, again, would have a great difficulty in outdamaging Camille during trades with her passive. So they're not nerfing her resilience, they're not nerfing her shield, they're just nerfing its cooldown. I don't think this is really going to do as much as they hope it will. Maybe you can bait out her shield a little bit better now, and then she'll be vulnerable for more. But baiting on her shield still requires you to be attacked, right? Like, just to attack you to shield. So you're not like baiting it out for nothing. You're still being attacked. So yeah, that's basically that. I think this is going to slow her down a little bit, but I think she's still going to be extremely over the top. She'll just be slowed down a little bit. I think she needs to eat a scaling nerf finally, because her early game is so good that she should probably finally eat a scaling nerf. Draven. Now, I made a video on this, but yeah. Basically, this change is very weird for me for a variety of reasons, but let me talk about it. We're giving the glorious executioner something he's wanted for a long time. An execute. But putting it on the ability in his kit with the most counterplay. Rather than just staying away from him the entire game, opponents will now be more incentivized to kill Draven than ever before. Let the games begin. So the first change is Draven's adoration stat count updates will be displayed in all chat, not just team chat. So everyone's going to be trying to murder him. I think Riot really wants to push this idea that a Draven pick makes both teams have to play around Draven. I'm not sure I entirely like that, because there's other picks that do that as well, and I feel like having too many of them in the game can start to create a very weird system where, like, let's say you have a Draven on your team, but you also have I don't know, like a Kale or something like that, or an early game champion like a Renekton. It kind of creates, in my opinion, this weird situation where it's like you're supposed to be focusing the Draven and the Renekton and the Kale now, because Kale scales too well and Renekton's early game is super brutal, and I don't know. But at any rate, if Whirling Death drops an enemy's health to or below current adoration stacks, it executes them. Now, adoration is, of course, when he kills someone, he gets gold from adoration, right? So this is why this change starts to become a little bit weird for me, because it creates this weird situation. Draven has never wanted to not cash in, right? Like, there's never been a situation where he hasn't wanted to cash in. He hasn't wanted to ult early to maximize damage. So now you're getting a situation where if Draven doesn't get the first kill, and then he ults on, let's say, a squishy, let's say you're in a team fight, and he doesn't get the first kill in the team fight on, let's say, the tank, but then he ults into a squishy, you guys just CC'd, and you can quickly execute the squishy with his ult. It creates this weird situation where maybe he didn't want to cash in, but that feels wrong to me. So this change feels weird to me. I know people wanted Draven to get an execute. I know people are like, oh my god, he got an execute. That's the coolest thing ever, Draven with an execute. But I think he's already doing kind of well. I think this will probably make him overpowered. And I think they're trying to push Draven to AFK farm for pro play, so they can like AFK farm to like 300-400 stacks. And you guys, if you look at my Draven video, I did do a lot of info searching. I think only pro play is really going to see those 300, 400, 500 Draven stacks, super executes. That's my opinion. And I don't think that in solo queue he tends to die and lose 75% of his stacks, or he tends to get a kill and then of course lose all his stacks because he cashes in. In solo queue, he doesn't tend to just sit there and stack up to 400 to get these super executes. Now, if you look at the wording, if Whirling Death drops an enemy's health to or below Draven's current adoration stacks, that means this is not gonna stack with Collector. That should be kind of obvious based on the wording, because if it drops them to 100 health, it executes them. Collector says if they drop below 5%, it executes them. So these don't stack. They're doing the same thing. Basically, you're just creating an OR. If Whirling Death drops an enemy's health to or below Draven's current adoration stacks, it executes them. Then Collector says, or if any damage drops them below 5%, it executes them. So these aren't going to stack. You're not going to be seeing, yeah. That's basically it on Draven. I think he'll get nerfed. I think they're trying to create a pro play thing where basically in pro play you just keep your Draven safe till he gets 500 stacks, CC someone, execute them with ult. I think that's what they're trying to create, and I don't know about this from Riot. It'll be fun, but I imagine it'll be fun for maybe like a few games. Then if this is actually good in pro play, like the third time you see a team chain farming Draven stacks up for an ult execute, think about like the third time, you're just gonna be like, okay, but this is kind of lame. Like, why is Draven perma-farming? Dr. Mundo. While it's true that Grievous Wounds is the standard against healing champs, yeah, because you buffed it to 60% on Ignite, it's left Dr. Mundo rather sickly at higher levels of play. Because you buffed Ignite to 60%. Anti-healing items, no, Ignite, tend to undermine champions like him and Soraka, whose entire identities are designed around big beefy heals. No, it's because you buffed Ignite to 60%. The immediate health gain from his ultimate will now ignore Grievous Wounds. Great. So now he has an ultimate that counters healing debuffs. So you overbuffed healing debuffs so hard that you now need to make ultimates ignore healing debuffs. It's like watching someone just make a mistake and then to fix that mistake, they're making a mistake. If you give a moose a muffin. But the healing over time will still be affected by it. This should make anti-heal effect less sharp of a counter, but still enough of a jab to hurt Mundo good. So you buffed healing debuffs so hard that healing-based champions are now struggling. But rather than admitting that perhaps 60% healing debuffs are too strong, particularly on Ignite, because you don't have to invest anything, you just give, whoa, wow, we're taking the same summoner spell I would have taken anyway. But now it hard turbo fucks Dr. Mundo. So what are they doing? On cast immediately grants 15, 20, 25% of missing HP as bonus HP. So instead of, it'll be like Luluwalt. You guys know Luluwalt ignores healing debuffs. So instead of healing, it's just going to increase your HP. Now, it's a bit less at rank 1. At rank 2, it's the same. At rank 3, it's bigger. Particularly, the rank 3 one is kind of interesting because late game, when everyone's got a healing debuff, 25% missing HP is going to be fairly good. They're nerfing the heal from 20 to 70% to 20 to 60% because with more max HP, obviously this heal was going to be bigger, and if you math it out, even if he's at half HP at rank 3, this new heal will heal for more. Okay. Basically, this is Riot admitting, wow, we fucked up, guys. We fucked up real bad. Healing debuffs are too strong. And everyone's like, oh, wow, you admitted healing debuffs are too strong? What are you going to do? Are you going to nerf them? And Riot's like, no. Now we're going to make anti-healing debuffs. Oh, God. It's like a shitty 80s movie where Riot's like, I forgot to do my homework. Okay, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do your homework, turn it in, like get some late homework deductions, but actually put in the effort? And they're like, no, I'm gonna burn down the school so there won't be any record of it. Wow, Riot, you could just admit that you fucked up and go fix the problem, but no. Now we have anti-healing debuff healers. Fizz. A lot of Fizz's power is in his ult, which is inconsistent in skilled play since more players at that level know to either dodge or Zanya's it. Oh, another problem that they refuse to address. His R will still pack a punch, but we're borrowing some of its bite and putting it into his early game threat with W, as well as giving him a thicker skin against basic attacks to help his survivability in lane. So basically, his damage reduction versus basic attacks is being doubled against champions, so it'll be 8 plus 2% ability power damage reductions. That's only against champions, that's not against minions, okay? His W is gaining 10 flat damage, but his ult is losing some base damage and losing some AP ratio. So ult will deal less damage, but he'll take a little bit less damage, and he'll deal a little bit more damage. Everybody got that? Okay. Not really the biggest change. They're trying to push Fizz into pro play. I wonder why. Is it because he's an assassin? Yes, it's because he's an assassin. Wow, I'm glad we got through that. Yeah. Gangplank. Ooh, I wanna show you guys this one. Hold up. Let me give this one old look. So basically, I'll explain it while I'm looking. Basically, because Gangplank used to gain so much HP from Grasply and dying, he has the issue where they nerfed his health after everyone started to go Grasply and dying. That is season 6, and here's season 5. So he used to have 631 base HP with 82 per level. He was nerfed all the way down to 540, so nearly 100 less base HP and a lot less per level. That was done because Grasply and dying, especially on Gangplank, because he was considered melee on his Qs. He got the full 5 HP. It gave him gobloads of HP. He became unreasonably tanky, so they had to nerf his HP into the ground. So they're now giving him his, well, actually giving him a lot of HP. Okay. Basically, they're giving a lot of HP. He's running up to 90 per level. He's gaining 570. So if I actually look, the wiki should be updated. So if I go look here, yeah, so he's gonna be 570 to 2100 HP. That's about average for a bruiser. That's about average. A little bit lower, like a teensy tiny bit lower, but I think Gangplank is a bit in between those super high damage champions like Fiora and Jax, and those more steady base damage champions like Jarvan and Aatrox. Although Jarvan's a little bit bursty at this point, huh, Riot? So I think this health about fits actually. That seems about right, to be fair. Last patch, we changed Gangplank's Q so that it would count as ranged instead of melee. He's lost a lot of durability now that he doesn't benefit as much from grasping and dying, and thus the rest of the resolve tree anymore, giving this pirate some of his burliness back to help him survive the choppy waters of early top lane. So yeah, that's basically that. I think it will actually ironically push Graspy and dying a tiny little bit. Just because he's gonna be doing about 1 more damage per grass proc. Okay, so Graspy and dying isn't that far below his other runes in strength. I think some people should actually go back to using Graspy and dying when they need to win early game and when they need laning pressure. A lot of people seem to think a Gangplank right now is like an all or nothing, sort of like we're always gonna go Graspy and dying or we're never gonna go Graspy and dying. But sometimes you can go Grasp when you just need to be tankier, when you need to have a stronger early game. And sometimes you shouldn't go Grasp when you don't need to go Grasp. Yeah, that's basically that. I'm a little bit worried this is gonna bring back Graspy and dying Gangplank, because Graspy and dying will be weaker early game, but with the barrel changes he'll be stronger late game. So this might kind of go back to a Camille type situation where he just goes Graspy and dying, like Camille goes Graspy and dying, wins the early game off it, but then also scales extremely well into the late game. I would very much like if Riot normalized his barrels, so 20% crit chance gave him, based on his barrels, right, 20% crit chance gave him just 25% more damage, because there's a chance this makes sense. Basically his barrels make him deal more damage, so if a barrel crits, it does 25% more damage. So what I'm saying actually makes sense. Shut up. I'm not gonna calculate it. But yeah, right now, a lot of Gangplank players will go to like 40% crit, or even 20% crit, and then if they crit the barrel, boom, big explosion. If they don't crit the barrel, meh. Like a 20% chance to crit on Gangplank isn't 20% more damage on his barrel. It means his barrel either does, okay, well this one I'll actually calculate. So his barrel either does, what would that be? 180 times 1.25. So yeah, his barrel either does 225% damage or 100% damage. That is 2 1/4 barrels of damage, or 1 barrel of damage. That is a very large power gap. So remember, even if Gangplank is building crit, it's not like the game just starts and he has 100% crit. Okay? So At one item, he only has 20% crit, and he'll always have one item because that's literally how League works. You need to buy your items and get into the late game, okay? So, yeah. That this change needs, Gangplank needs to have his crit damage normalized. It should be basically kind of like how Viego works, but not exactly. You know how Viego turns crit into damage on his Q and his ultimate? Gangplank should turn crit into % bonus damage on his barrels. That would be so much a better change. Jace. So originally they were going to nerf his damage, but now Jace is an all-around power slam in highly skilled hands. Rather than reduce his damage output, we're turning down his ability to turning down. We're turning, do they mean tuning? We're turning down. I mean, both of these are right, but turning down feels wrong to me. We're turning down his ability to outrun ganks and quickly traverse the map, both of which are particularly useful for the pro scene. So the bonus movement speed on Jace's, it's technically his ultimate, but it's his passive, technically. Don't ask. So basically, if you look at his passive, each time he changes between forms, he gains 40 movement speed. And so that 40 movement speed is being reduced way down to 0.75 seconds rather than 1.25. Personally, I think Jace is pretty broken right now. I think he does way too much damage. I think he can all in, knock you away, deal, honestly, what is that? That's like half your health bar, and then just back away, and then he just comes back in to do it again. But meanwhile, you can't fight back, and you have to let him gain the laning phase on the minion wave, because wait, you're at half HP. If you try to fight him, he'll just do the other half. So, yeah, Riot should really look into reducing the base damage, and considering they buffed the base damage on him at the beginning of the season, which is one of the things that kind of started this, maybe revert that buff. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe a champion shouldn't have a combined 10 gabillion damage just by putting points into Q. You might say that's ironic because, yeah, you're an Aatrox player. Jace actually does more damage by just running up and mashing Q on people than Aatrox does by critting his entire Q combo. That's why... And by the way, his shit can't be dodged. Not really. So that's why Jace is extremely dominant at the higher ranks, because once you kind of find your balls and realize you can just practically all in anything. Like, let me give you a good example. Jace can all in Darius. Not in one swoop, but he can go phase rush. He can all in, knock him away, phase rush away. Darius ends up at half HP or less. And then Darius is just bullied off the minion wave from then on. Darius can never go in on Jace, but Jace, every time phase rushes up, there it is, clobbering time. And he doesn't need phase rush after the first all-in because, well, he'll just kill him on the second one. Jinx. So they're reducing the mana cost on her early game rockets. 20 mana was probably a little bit too much, truth be fair. We're boosting Jinx's lane push power to make her more of a viable pick and increase her early game overall. Catchu. 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 Okay. So I actually think this is kind of fair, maybe. This lets her last hit from range more often. This lets her poke more often. This lets her maintain mana more often. I don't think Jinx is particularly dominant. She was a little bit excessive for a while, but they toned her down a bit. Yeah. Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa represents a hybrid carry style that we haven't seen much of in this meta's bully focused bot lane. I don't know why Riot keeps calling Kai'Sa a hyper carry. She's always been kind of good early game, but then mostly focused on the mid game. And because she deals so much magic damage, which she can't get penetration for, I'm not going to make a double penetration Kai'Sa joke. You all expected me to. Because she can't get magic pen, it means that her magic damage actually starts to fade a little bit into the late game. You've probably noticed, I mean, any AD carry, let me just be clear, any AD carry is going to shred a tank in the late game, okay? But there's a difference between, let's say, a physical focused Tristana and a Kai'Sa. The Tristana and the tank in late games, just going boom, 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 you're dead. The Kai'Sa in the late game, particularly if you're one of those tanks, like let's say, not like a, oh, what's the right way to put it? Not like a hardcore tank, like an Ornn or someone like that, okay? But if you're playing one of those champions that kind of goes like the Sterak's Gauge, like a Hecarim, I know I'm struggling and I'm calling Hecarim a tank, and I know this is a bit confusing, but if you're playing like a Hecarim, and you've got like a Death's Dance and Omen, and you're just relying on Divine Sunderer and Sterak's Gauge to do the majority of your damage, you probably notice that Kai'Sa can kind of struggle to chew through that much health. That's always kind of been Kai'Sa's problem. She can kind of deal with tanks because of Lord Dominic's regards and mixed damage, but she can't really deal with champions that have a lot of HP. And so, like, if you're playing like a Cho'Gath or a Scion in the late game, that's a good one. Scion, there we go. Okay, if you're playing like a Scion in the late game, you probably notice that Kai'Sa can really struggle to deal with you because she can't, yeah, and so that's basically what I'm trying to go for. I don't really think she's a hyper carry. When I think hyper carry, I'm thinking Kog'Maw. I'm thinking, well, Kog'Maw's a pretty good example. Kog'Maw goes to a tank late game, and you're just like, you're like a tank. You're like, you're fucking running away. The dude's got dual pen. I mean, you can double pen Kog'Maw, right? And damn, he's got penetration on physical and magical and percent health magic damage and Lord Dominic's regards for his physical damage, or he doesn't even need that. Maybe he's got Wit's End and he's doing 10 trillion physical and magical damage coming at you. So as a tank, you're just like, damn. But Kai'Sa, I don't know. And this is me kind of, I know I've been going on this for a while, and this is kind of me nitpicking. I've never just really agreed with Kai'Sa being a hyper carry. I think she's mostly an assassin. And I think she's mostly focused on the mid game, particularly because of her shorter range. I mean, you have to remember the longer the longer in the game you go, the less like the higher damage will go, right? So the kill range continues to increase. Early in the game, you need to really get up in people's asses to kill them because damage is lower. But later in the game, when you're killing people off like 2 abilities, the kill range starts going like across the entire lane. Qiyana can kill you, for example, with a double gap closer ult, maybe toss in a flash there. AD carry can be dead by a champion they didn't even see through the fog of war. Or LeBlanc just W's in QR and you're just fucking dead. So yeah, having shorter range, having mixed damage that she can't get double penetration for, my opinion, I don't think she's a hyper carry. Anyway, let's talk about the actual change instead of me ranting for 12 minutes here on them calling her a hyper carry. Cooldown. The cooldown on Supercharge. Now, actually, I want to look this up because I'm fairly certain they actually, didn't they nerf this or did they buff this or, no, looks like, okay, so they've actually, okay, so it's not exactly that they've messed with the cooldown. They have been messing with the duration. They have been messing with the attack speed up and down a lot. So I think what they're trying to do, with Kai'Sa is they're trying to push her to more of like a Vayne playstyle in the late game. Some of you are probably looking at this and saying to yourself, Hashinshin, if Supercharge is a 10-second cooldown, how does Kai'Sa ever spam it as much as she does? Well, every auto attack she lands, let me look this up here. Yeah, every auto attack she lands reduces the cooldown and Supercharge by 0.5. So with some cooldown reduction, that's 0.5 flat. That's not reduced by building ability haste or anything like that. So with some ability haste and with a lot of attack speed, she can start supercharging more often. Now this will be way more often. Here's my personal take. They did a very similar change on Graves a while back, where they reduced the cooldown on his E, which functions the same. Graves' E gets its cooldown reduced by hitting people. Well, the problem was it broke the absolute fuck out of him, because a mere 2 seconds meant that he needed, like, instead of needing 3 auto attacks, to, use his E again. He only needed 2. I think it was something like that. Maybe it was 3 and 4. I don't know. But basically, Kai'Sa needing even, let's say, 2 less auto attacks is going to be substantial. And for a champion who historically, anytime she gets buffed, she's just like, ha ha ha, time to dominate with my big ass. Yeah. Every single time they buff Kai'Sa, she shows up and starts dominating again. Now, her pick rate and her win rate are lower, but the thing is with Kai'Sa is that she's always been one of those lower win rate champions to begin with. So anytime she gets near 50% win rate, she starts her pick rate immediately shoots to top 2 and she becomes pick ban, even with a 50% win rate. So here's my opinion. They're obviously trying to push Kai'Sa for Worlds. I mean, she's in KDA twice. It's fairly obvious. Okay, that's my opinion. I mean, she's a crowd favorite. She's obviously going to go to Worlds. She goes to Worlds every season. We all expected this. No, as I said above, they're not going to revert it. If this change ends up being overpowered, they're not going to say, oh, darn, we accidentally made Kai'Sa overpowered. No, they're just going to be like, oops. And they'll just leave her. And everyone will say, well, she's only a 50% win rate. It will have to last like 3 months until finally they're like, well, yeah, fine, we'll tone her down. Kalista. Dude, okay. I get so much bad shit for complaining about stuff, but I've been complaining about this shit for 10 fucking years now. And no, this nerf doesn't go far enough. A 1.5 to 2 seconds, and even with it still being a 2 seconds late game, knockup. A totally unavoidable, effectively, knockup. You can't tenacity through it. This is a goddamn massive fucking knockup. I don't think there's any other knockup in the game even close to this shit. A 2 second CC at all is bad. Like, you need tenacity just to deal with a 2 second CC. I think Fiddlestick's Fear, didn't it even get nerfed to a mere 2 seconds from 2.25 just because it was so hard to deal with? Let me look at this. It did. So a CC this long that you can't even tenacity through is utter insanity. Kalista's ult with a melee support is almost guaranteed to kill with chain CC, especially in pro level high coordination gank setups, where giving her opponents a slightly bigger window to escape her wrath. Okay, it's just too long. It should be 1 to 1.5. That's my actual honest to fucking god opinion. This kit has had so many issues over the years, and this is one of the big issues with this kit. This ult being a knockup instead of anything you could CC through. And again, you can't cleanse it. You can't cleanse it. You can't tenacity it. Nothing. So even if you're fighting, let's say, Kalista Leona, and you get a lot of tenacity because of Leona, Leona gets shot into you, knocks you up, she stands next to you for 2 seconds like, while you CC'd, so... Stuns you, ults you, E's you, stuns you again. You just got CC'd for 5 seconds, you're just like, yeah, that felt about right. Yeah, so that's my opinion. I was right. 10 years ago, I was right. Now, I'm still right. No. You just shouldn't, even on an ultimate, you should not have an ability this strong, period. Karma's changes in 11.16 were effective at reducing her dominance in pro play while avoiding major nerfs to her everywhere else, so it should just be elsewhere. Since she's been on the weaker side overall, we're upping her win rate across the board with some generic buffs. She really does always catch up, huh? So here's the thing about Karma. Her win rate only got to 50% at like Challenger. So the problem was only the goddamn best players could really abuse how broken this kit was. Because you really needed to play this champion as a true mid-range. Not a kiting champion, so to speak, but a mid-range champion who can root you, auto-attack, get the root, Q, auto-attack, shield, follow, auto-attack, Q, follow, auto-attack, root, you know what I mean? A true mid-range pick, not a support like Nami, or Soraka, who can stay all the way back and be like, I'm healing you, it's okay. She had to get really up in your face, and it was, I'm gonna say, harder to do, and it, honestly, for a support champion, an enchanter, it was a bit unique. So they nerfed the absolute crap out of her, because once you got to the best champions, they said the best players at playing Karma, they dominated with her, but literally nobody else could. So they removed auto attacks, reducing her ultimate cooldown, and now they're giving a little bit more armor so she can play at that mid-range more comfortably, even though she doesn't even need to anymore. And they're buffing her shield. So that's about it. They're calling them, what do they call it? Generic buffs. So, yeah. And that's really all I have to say about that one. Not really a whole lot to go into. Just one of those buffs. Just a buff. Kog'Maw. Okay, I'm not even gonna read this. Basically they're buffing AP Kog'Maw. Why? Because AP Kog'Maw for Worlds. I don't know why it's exciting. It promptly gets nerfed into the fucking ground. It never survives longer than like maybe a month or two, right? Every time AP Kog'Maw is viable, everyone realizes, oh right, that's why I don't like AP Kog'Maw. Yeah, this sucks. He just keeps pressing R and it just keeps poking you. And then he hits you with maybe like one Q and an E and you just get hit by another ult and you die. Wow, this sucks to fight, Riot. And eventually Riot will go, this might indeed suck to fight. Yes, maybe this will suck to fight. You think, Riot? You think? Despite all his previous nerfs, which, by the way, these nerfs don't even counteract the buffs they've given him, Lee Sin has still been a super duper high priority pro pick in jungle. The Blind Monk was so popular, he got either picked or banned in 100% of LCK games during patch 11.16. Okay, see, so this is what I don't understand. Sometimes Riot talks like someone else balances the game. They balance the game. So when they're talking like this, like, wow, guys, shockingly, he was overpowered. Who knew? Well, you knew when you buffed him 9 times and he was already the top picked jungler. You knew that he was going to be overpowered. So why are they doing this thing like, oh, wow, guys, did you know he was OP? It's like a dude goes up and keys your car, then like dings your fucking doorbell and is like, hey, dude, I just found out your car was keyed. Who did this? And you're like, I was watching you from the window. You did it. He's like, oh, man, I just wanted to let you know. Tapping him down yet again with an early game nerf to clear the jungle champ pool for Worlds. So they're nerfing his base damage by 2. This still puts him amongst the highest base damage in the game, just not disgustingly high. This is actually a good nerf. Definitely tones him down a little bit. Basically, they want him to be overpowered. They just don't want him to literally be absolutely 100% pick ban. Now, a champion who's got 100 base damage on his Q, 100 base damage on his E, and the highest base damage in the game, with a tech speed on his passive. Yeah, that champion is maybe a little bit too strong in the early game. Maybe they should tone down some of that, but okay, I mean, they're turning down something. Oh well. Okay. Pick ban Lee Sin, maybe 90% pick ban. Lilia. Lilia's been very strong in top lane, limiting our ability to buff her jungling capabilities. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. Buff her top lane. Yeah, go for it, Riot. Her early sustain will now be fairly conditional on hitting jungle monsters, making her a riskier pick in aggressive lanes, and freeing up room for us to help her prance, dance, and oops, trip in the jungle. So they're nerfing her health regen, they're nerfing her health regen growth, but they're buffing her healing against the jungle. So long as you're hitting a large monster, you're going to be healing the same. Literally anywhere else, you have less health regen. Now, healing 1 less per second is actually kind of impactful. I think this is, I mean, this is a bigger nerf to her health than Riot's trying to let on. But yeah, definitely, if Lalaya could go top lane, she can't now. And yeah. So they're increasing the duration on her Q movement speed, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't like that, because boy, that sucks to fight. And her E is getting a cooldown reduction. Probably fair considering the nerf. This does still nerf her jungle, because it sounds like she's always hitting a large monster, right? So this does still nerf her jungle, but Q buff, E buff, okay. I think Lalaya is not actually that weak right now. So, okay. Misfortune's getting more waves. Her ult is getting buffed. Misfortune has unfortunately been missing out on wins at all levels of play, giving her ult some more bang to spice up the wombo combos. We've got a good feeling about this. Winky face. If there was anything to buff about Misfortune, I'm not sure it was her ultimate. For this, her ult was still shredding people's health bars really easily. I guess it'll shred them even more easily. At least I liked the original version where it only buffed the rank 2 and 3 of the ultimate. But now that they're buffing all of it, but more focused on the early game because it's just a flat amount, I don't agree with that one. But as with some of these changes, they're trying to push, like you can see a clear pattern here of them pushing Kai'Sa, pushing Jinx, pushing Karma a little bit, pushing, at least they think they're pushing Lalaya, I'm not sure, pushing Misfortune, pushing Morgana. Yeah. Morgana has fallen as a support in both average and pro play. Giving her more access to her unique CC blocking shield should help, especially in matchups where she's historically excelled. Looking at you, hard stun and knockup supports. So this is going to make her more annoying, period. That's it. She's just going to be more annoying. I don't think she's doing bad. I think she's just being pushed for worlds. Shockingly. I don't think she's bad at all. I really don't. I think she's doing absolutely just fine. I don't know what they're really doing here. But, boy, any buff to Morgana is annoying. Well, I find funny. Morgana is a champion who, if you buffed 3 out of her 5 effects, her passive and her 4 abilities, you buffed her Q, her root, if you buffed her black shield, or if you buffed her ultimate, boy, all of those I'd be like, damn, that's annoying. I think Morgana, I feel like they should add something to her kit, like maybe healing or something, like I don't know, but then like nerf down some of this black shield and rooting stuff, because it's like every time they buff her, my thoughts aren't, oh, maybe we'll see Morgana. Like even on Misfortune, I'm like, oh man, they're buffing her ultimate, damn, her ult's gonna shred even harder. That'll be annoying, but I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. But on Morgana, I'm just like, no, no, Morgana buffs. Qiyana. We removed Qiyana's ability to jungle back when she was a dominant mid-jungle flex pick in Pro. Her standings in mid have gone down since then. No, they fucking haven't. She's still top tier and broken. So we're cautiously optimistic about reintroducing her to the jungle. Our Empress has also had a staggering high tier based win rate. Sort of like a Mumu, but the inverse. So not like a Mumu. Boy, you couldn't think of literally any other champion who dominates high rank and not low rank to compare? You could only think of a champion who literally does the opposite to compare to? Here, just off the top of my head, Irelia, Azir, Ryze, boom, there's 3. But you went with a Mumu? Okay. A likely reason for this skew is that her EQ auto aim combo can't be dodged at all, invalidating many would-be outplays, which feels really bad. We're revising its targeting mechanisms to empower opponents who are quick enough to dare challenge her. So they're increasing her base attack speed substantially. This is like a lot, actually. Holy shit. And then they're nerfing her health regen a tiny bit. Now remember, this champion is kind of dominating the high ranks. Not dominating, but she's just really, really good. She is certainly a contender for potential best mid laner. Now deals 25% bonus damage against monsters on her Q. If Kiana's targets begin a dash or teleport during her EQ buffer, Q will now aim at their last position before blah blah blah. If Kiana had an EQ buffered but does not have vision of the target, Q will aim at the last position she could see her target in. Hopefully this works and you can dodge her EQ now. I kind of doubt it, truth be told. And they're nerfing the damage on her E by 10. I'm gonna be dead ass honest with you guys. This champion's scaling has needed to be toned down. She's kind of acceptable in the early game, but she reaches a certain point where she literally just kills you. And there's not a whole fucking lot you can do. And that's not good for the game, and that's not good for high ranking. No champion who just kills you is gonna be good for the game. One man's opinion. Yeah, not much more to say. Seems to fit in with the pattern of Morgana and Miss Fortune and all those other champions where push the waifus for worlds. It should be like a charity, waifus for worlds. Not much more to say. Renekton continues to live up to his name in pro play, butchering his foes left and right. We're nerfing his crowd control specifically by changing the way his W works when empowered by passive, Reign of Anger. This will make it notably harder for him to lock down targets throughout the game, both in team ganks and team fights. Sorry, both in lane ganks and team fights. I was reading forwards and I said it before I read it. To explain that weird self-lockout note below, previously, Renekton was able to bypass and power W's additional lockout by attacking or moving at just the right time. We're making this decreased lockout time the baseline, so that Croc isn't CCing himself for almost as long as his target. Okay, so he stuns himself for less, but he stuns his opponent for less. If you reach 50% tenacity, he now stuns himself for longer than he stuns you, even if by slightly. This also means that Garen, using his W, even if Renekton's W breaks the shield, this does now mean that Garen will make Renekton stun himself for longer. Yeah, so basically, okay, so I agree with this change, but I don't agree with not buffing. They should have at least given him his ult health on the same patch. Basically, Renekton's W is too good at setting up ganks. Think Elise Renekton, where Renekton E's forward into a W stun. Really hard to avoid, kind of, especially if you're melee, and then Elise just kind of runs in and kills you. Not good for the game, and it has definitely meant that in coordinated play, where Renekton and the jungler can be like, no, you just die. So he's been pick ban. He's been quite good early game. I really think they should consider. I really think they should consider. Have considered giving. He's gonna get buffed after this, 100%. Guarantee it. That is my Crocodile Dundee guarantee. I made that up on the spot. So yeah, he'll get buffed. Garen goddamn to it. They should have done it this patch. They'll probably give him back his Q healing, or they'll definitely give him back his ult HP, I imagine. But yeah, they'll buff him back. Oh, Rumble. Okay, I'm not even gonna read this thing because it's all of these people. So basically, Rumble one-shot you if you activated his passive. Shockingly, this was considered bad for the game. It has been considered bad for a very long time. They're finally deciding to nerf it. Like, what, 4 months later? Jesus Christ. So his overheat attack speed's going from a 50% flat to 20 to 80%. We've had to live through like 4 months of every time Rumble turns red in the early game, and you're slowed by even one harpoon, you just go, well, I'm dead. Just walk away from your keyboard. As W shield's losing its cooldown. See, that's what I think is weird. They're nerfing Ruthless Predator because that's what made him overpowered. They're nerfing his passive because that's what made him overpowered. But then they're tuning down one of the nerfs they did, but for Nectin, they're not. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Singed, the mighty Singed. As a damage over time champion in the top lane, Singed can struggle to make his damage stick against against enemy healing. We're juicing up the Mad Chemist signature concoction so he can counteract this when going for that kill with his ultimate. Slowly, but surely. Okay, this is not actually the big change people think it is. He only gets healing debuffs during his ultimate and only on his ultimate. So by level 6, Sin should typically have a healing debuff if his opponent is healing. Because if he doesn't get a healing debuff, that means anytime he's not in his ultimate, he'll typically just get out-healed by healing-based champions. Now, the problem is Singed can't deal with, Singed can't deal with a lot of bullshit, okay? And this goes back into the Dr. Mundo thing, because they buffed healing debuffs so much, they ended up buffing healing so much, so now they need to buff healing debuffs again. Singed would inevitably go with probably a Bramble Vest, and he would typically have that by level 6. This isn't the huge change that people think it is, but it's just another one of these changes that it's just like, maybe address the heal. Maybe Divine Sunderer shouldn't be healing so much. Maybe you shouldn't need a healing debuff if your opponent merely buys a Divine Sunderer, right? Because, look, if Jax doesn't have any healing, or if Camille doesn't have any healing, and then they get a Divine Sunderer, and now you need a healing debuff to fight them, that's just bad design. That's just bad design. Simply put. Let's be obvious. Soraka. R now clears grievous wounds before healing. Like Dr. Mundo, Soraka's been particularly pained by grievous wounds over the past few seasons. While anti-healing items should be a valid counter to Soraka's sustain, it's starting to severely impede on her core gameplay. We're making every Soraka player's wish come true by giving her a limited tool to respond and make those clutch heals, but only on her ult, which is a pretty long cooldown. So Ignite made Soraka useless. Rather than nerfing Ignite, they are making her ultimate remove Ignite's healing debuff. That is dumb. Okay, so yeah. Her ultimate now removes healing debuffs. I was looking this up. So remember when they buffed her W's healing? They're not reverting that. So her W keeps, her normal heal keeps healing for more. Is my camera messed up? Hold on, I'm gonna restart that. I think it was a little messed up. Her W keeps the healing buff they gave it, but her ultimate now removes healing debuffs. So I think Soraka will probably be a little bit overpowered, obviously. But holy shit. So they buffed healing debuffs. Then they buffed healing because they buffed healing debuffs. Then they buffed healing debuffs again. So they buffed healing. And now they're making her remove healing debuffs. Jesus Christ. So Riot didn't do their homework. So they burned down the school to try to hide that they didn't do their homework. Then they found out that their teacher had a spare copy of them not doing their homework. So now they're just shooting their teacher in the fucking face. That's where we're at. Riot's just committing goddamn murder to cover up the fact that they fucked this game's balance so hard. Talia. Talia's found solid footing in the jungle, but she's still on shaky ground in mid. Her kit has a number of rules that feel more punishing than empowering. So we're loosening up by reframing worked ground as an optional way to cast successive Qs, rather than a severe movement tax on our higher damage full Qs. Her Q now refunds 50% of spells cooldown. I think that was removed and then added back. I'm literally not going to check. I'm fairly certain that's what happened. Worked ground radius is down. The duration is down. So basically, if she keeps using Q in the same spot, she's now far less punished. They're basically removing that punishment entirely. Talia never really hit the mark for most players. She's only really ever picked when she's overpowered. And that's where we're at. If she's overpowered, people like her. If she's not overpowered, people don't like her. Yeah. Not much more to say. It'll be good, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why they're pushing Talia for Worlds. I literally don't know. She's not popular. This kind of feels like the odd man out. Like, people like Soraka waifu. Singed, I don't really know why Singed either. He's kind of one of the least popular champions. Like, of the least popular champions, he's one of the more popular. So he's kind of like one of the kings of the losers, so to speak. But like, you know, Kiana, Morgana, Misfortune, Lalaya, Karma, Kaisa, Jinx. These all follow a pattern, okay? Soraka, that follows a pattern. Talia, I don't think anyone waifus Talia, and I don't think she's really even popular at all. She frequently falls below a 1% pick rate, doesn't she? And obviously we have over 150 champions, right? So you're going to have less than 1% pick rate on a bunch of champions. Sure, but Talia is one of those. So I don't know why in a Worlds patch she would get pushed. Talon. They're nerfing Q-Max and they're buffing him against the jungle. I don't know why. I don't know why. Talon mid is overpowered, guys. Oh, that's bad. His jungle is underpowered, though. Oh, that's also bad. Can I get some Aatrox jungle buffs, too? Jesus, I don't know. I don't know what to even say about this one, because I literally don't know. I don't know. Thresh. His movement speed. Okay. Thresh has arguably been the best support champ in pro meta for much of the year. For the last 10 years, maybe? Despite multiple nerfs, we're taking a larger swing here at his ability to nullify popular melee support engages. Think Leona, Nautilus, Rel, as well as his offensive threat to those same laners. Since this is a pretty big nerf, we're compensating some of the lost early damage with better soul scaling, which is usually lower priority in pro. I'm Alzheimer's over here. So Flay will now give less damage early game, the same damage when it's maxed, but more damage per soul. His movement speed's going down. We've been here 10 times, haven't we? Like, I understand Riot wants Thresh in pro play. I'm not even gonna make a joke at his E-boy skin, but it's obvious that they want Thresh in pro play, and I don't understand why they won't just give him a real nerf. Every time you do one of these nerfs, what's going to happen is the pro players are going to look at it, and they're going to go, oh, does this stop his Flay from countering engage? No. Does this stop his Q from being a kill? No. Okay. We're going to keep picking him then. And you know what they're going to do? They're just going to keep picking him. Trundle. Trundle's becoming a potent support jungle flex pick in professional play. We're tamping. That's a word. We're tamping down on the Troll King's power in this secondary role by nerfing his E, which supports typically max first, and junglers usually max third. So Z's getting a slow nerf. I guess support Trundle was overpowered? I don't know. This one's out of left field for me. I don't know. Twitch. So Twitch is obviously a popular pick. I don't know why. Well, maybe we know why. Many of Twitch's skirmishes in higher level play involve sneaking around and blasting his enemies with his ult. We're ripening the damage only in his aura to make his best case surprise engagements more powerful, without overbuffing his jungle or non-ultimate DPS. So his ultimate's getting a damage buff. It doesn't really stop people from circle strafing him to dodge his ultimate. A lot of people kind of picked up on that in recent years, and it's really frustrating to Twitch. You'll see videos every so often of people just circle strafing him in pro play, and not pro play, but even at the higher ranks. And a lot of Twitch players have been complaining about it. That's about it. It's kind of really impacted his ability at the higher ranks, as people kind of learned. They're just going to keep buffing his ult, I guess, until he kind of just one-shots people. 70 damage on a crit champion. Jesus Christ. That is a lot of damage on a crit champion. Let me tell you. Yeah. Because crit champions crit, so any flat AD. If that was 70 flat AD on a normal champion, you'd be like, wow, that's a lot of damage. On a crit champion, that's like, oh, wow, okay. That's hitting like 140 more per auto attack. Urgot is pretty solid, but he struggles against ranged champions that often dominate the pro top lane meta. There's a light buff that'll help him handle those situations more reliably. So his Q cooldown is coming down and its mana cost is coming down. Here's the thing. While he does use Q to engage against ranged champions or at least try to counterpoke them, against melee champions, he just uses it as free poke. Less mana cost, less cooldown. Yeah, that's a buff to a champion who's not really particularly struggling. So... I think this is mostly just going to make him better into melee. I think he'll continue to be useless against ranged. I think it's going to be useless into melee. I think if they really want to buff him against ranged champions, why not do something like his E, like after using E, you now get 15% bonus movement speed against, running towards enemy champions for 2 seconds. Because if he hits you with it, he's not going to be moving towards you, right? And if he misses it, then he would be running towards you. So that would give him a little bit more to do, but I don't know. Varus. Base AD decrease. I'm not gonna be that. Varus has been bullying his lanes pretty hard, especially in pro play. These changes should weaken his early game a bit on all fronts. So his passive is giving him less attack speed at the early levels when he kills a minion. And so I've been here for a while, haven't I? His attack damage has gone down. That's about it. Just seems to sort of be like an Ashe nerf, like, damn, this dude's this dude's bullying everyone. The problem is if they're nerfing 2 of the early game lane bullies, and they're buffing up more of the more mid game or late game focused champions, I feel like Aphelios is going to be less pressured out in the early game and scale easier. And oh boy, we've seen Aphelios scales really good. Yone. Okay, so Yone obviously was going to get buffed. He's not being picked in pro play. That's a problem. That's a pro problem. Yone is one of Riot's best weeb picks ever. They need this champion being picked in pro play. He's so weeb. He has to be getting picked. So his Spirit Cleave, right now his Spirit Cleave doubles the shield if it hits a champion, and then gets an additional 25% for each champion hit after the first. It will now double on the first champion, and they get an additional 50% for each champion after the first. Oh boy. Just in case you thought to yourself, man, that Yone guy's pretty tanky. He keeps shielding through team fights. Introducing Yone with more shields to shield even more through team fights. Despite his reasonable power level in average play, Yone falls behind at higher skill bands. Yes, because you fucked up and destroyed randomly Fleet Footwork, which he was using to survive through tough lanes. You just randomly did that, Riot. No one asked you to do it, you just did it. You just said fuck you, and you just did it. Why? I don't know. Rather than directly buffing his 1v1 or assassination potential, we're enhancing one of Yone's more skill-based outputs on W to improve his skirmishing and team fighting when piloted well. So he still will have issues at the high ranks with getting counterpicked, with getting poked out of lane. He's still gonna have that issue, but boy, when he doesn't get counterpicked, he's even stronger. Why? 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 Yumi's passive, cool. I'm not gonna go through all this. Okay, so this is just a whole bunch of Why did they put pet play in here? Okay, I'm gonna get that off screen. That seems like some fetish shit up there. So Yumi has been often disliked because she's got a weaker early game, often compensated for by having a stronger late game. So they're buffing her early game a little bit because the people that actually lane with Yumi tend to not like having to lane with Yumi. Right? And that's about it. She's not exactly strong right now, but it's just kind of an issue for the Yumi, the people that lane with Yumi, because she lanes with you and then she ditches you the second she sees that someone else who's actually fed, which a lot of people hate because it basically feels like, for them, it makes them feel like a springboard, like they're being sacrificed for someone else to go carry. So buffing her early game makes her more impactful in the laning phase, which will definitely probably make people like playing with her more. I don't know. I don't know why they're buffing Zed jungle. I don't know, guys. I literally don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, my camera messed up again, apparently. Okay, so Zed deals more damage to jungle monsters with his passive. Great, cool, big whoop. I don't... Why? Did my camera mess up again? Fuck you, camera. I don't know. I can literally see it blurring. Just slightly. Okay, didn't do this time. Okay, so Zoe. She's so wacky and comical. Wow, this champion should definitely be at Worlds. She's not even that bad right now. That's what I don't get. She's not even like bottom tier right now. She still gets picked infrequently, but whatever. Guys, she one-shots people. Isn't that exciting? And she's quirky and, oh god, I'm not even gonna make Zoe jokes. I'm not even going to. Just, okay. That's about it for that. I think they screwed up the patch notes because they're not. Yeah, because this is. Oh, did they? Oh, no. So here's Mord, Sona, and that's Swain, right? No, Karthus. Really? Huh. So here's Mord, kind of cool, I guess. Here's Karthus, here's Sona. Sona kind of looks sexy as shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what it is, but I'm into it. Here's Yorick without a hat. Kale and Olaf. I don't know. Sona's like hot as shit. Kale's like hot, but not hot as shit. I don't know. Yorick, Olaf, I kind of like Mord. Karthus is kind of cool. Really like Sona. Kale's kind of cool. I'm not really digging anyone else, if I'm gonna be honest. Here's Viego. I'll be straight honest. Viego probably looks the best overall. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you at all. I think this honestly looks the best. I feel like it's doing something. These just look muted and like, what is this Karthus skin doing? Nothing. What is Mord skin doing? What is this? Like, what are these doing? You know, I don't feel like they're doing anything. This Viego skin, it looks like it's doing something. They're going somewhere with it. It's got a style. You know? These ones, it's like Yorick, but he's wearing leather. But okay, like that's a skin? Leather Yorick? I don't know. Here's Heztech Tristana. So this will be one of them gem skins. But I mean, it's not bad, I guess. I don't know. Maybe if I see the York skin in game, it looks different, but it doesn't. I'm not into it. If I was fighting that skin, I'd be like, oh, you paid for that? Okay, Mord does look better in game. I'll be honest, he does look better in game. That chroma's pretty badass. That one right there. If you got it for nothing other than that chroma, that one looks really good. That one looks good. That one looks good. None of the other ones look good to me. That one's okay. The base one's okay. This chroma, you buy it for that chroma. Olaf. Yeah, I'll be blunt with you guys. This doesn't. It's Olaf. This just looks like Olaf to me. I don't see a reason to like go into this skin and be like, yeah, that's like, what does this look like to you? If no one told you this was Pentakill, if this just appeared in game tomorrow, I'd look at this skin and it'd be like, okay, cool, I guess. I don't know, like what okay. Okay, the Karthus one does look better in game. I'll give you that. I'm kind of digging the robe. That chroma's too muted. I actually like the hair and robe being a different color. That one's kind of cool. That one's okay. This one's really fucking cool right here. Holy shit, that one. Oh wait, you guys can't even see the bottom right. Ah, I'm not gonna go back and show it. Suck a dick. Here's Kale. No, I don't know. I don't even know. These are just skin reviews. I'm not gonna put that much time into this. Shut up. Actually, I kind of dig Kale in game because it actually looks like it does something. I mean, this does do something. It looks different. When I say does something, I mean it's something different. Like it's actually going for something. Like it's doing something, you know. Sona. Oh my gosh, that just looks so fucking cool. It looks so different from our other skins. It just looks really good. I don't know. Then here's Viego. It's not that much. Like, here's the thing. It's not that much different off his base skin. I'll agree. But there's just a vibe to it. I don't know. Like, sometimes you just can't describe art. Sometimes art is just a taste. And I kind of dig this. Truth be told, I really dig. Of all the chromas are okay, right? But like, I really fucking dig this loud fucking white leathered Viego coming out with the white and red loud ass fucking outfit with the curved stupid sword thing. Like, that's like, I just fucking dig that. You give me that skin on Aatrox, on Jax, put fucking leather bound white and red Aatrox just like fucking strutting the stage with the goddamn V-neck dick shorts and shit. Not shorts, but pants. Like, look at that shit. Like, damn. That is loud and obnoxious, and I love it. Okay, so that's a patch. I don't think there were anything. Oh, no, there actually was one major one here. This isn't exactly a bug fix, but they call it a quality of life. This is actually a balance change. Viego can no longer access Ornn's passive Living Forge to forge items while possessing him. This is actually a fairly large change to the Ornn Viego matchup that a lot of people. I'm gonna fucking tweet this right now. This is actually a fairly large change that should have been talked about more. And because this is actually, in my opinion, this is actually a fairly major change. This definitely makes Ornn more pickable, especially with how popular Viego is. Something that really sucked is that if you played Ornn and they went Viego, if you ever stole your shit, he could just start forging items for his team, and that really impacted the game. That was a substantial impact. So I'm not saying this is going to be like a huge deal for Ornn, but we might see like a 0.1, 0.2% win rate rise, and I'm not even joking. This is actually fairly impactful to that matchup. Okay, oh, I want to talk about this bug too, because I fucking knew this happened, like years and years and years ago. I fucking knew that my hookshot got canceled sometimes. I knew it. I fucking knew it. There's so many times that shit gets bugged out and people go, no, Hashinshin, that's not bugged. You must have done something. You're bad at this. And I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I just fucking knew it. I just knew it. I knew it. So Camille's hookshot no longer gets canceled upon using consumables. And I think that's about it. Oh, here's another one. Updated singed mega adhesive tooltip to include its slow percentage. You mean the ability that slows? The slowing ability? That ability? That ability that slows now clarifies that it slows? It tells you how much it slows? The slowing ability? Jesus Christ, imagine if Annie's Q no longer told you how much damage it did. Jesus. Some of this shit, man. Okay, so that's it. Those are all my changes. None of you guys have gotten this far, but if you did, thank you all for liking. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for leaving a comment down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my Patreon people. If you like these notes, if you like these longer notes especially, please subscribe to my Patreon. And remember, at 500 on Patreon, I will make a balloons video. That is my deal to bait you guys into putting the Patreon, because I'm dead serious that I want to. My camera fucked up again. I'm dead serious that I want to push my Patreon to be bigger, so that we don't have any Patreon. Like Patreon means that if I have YouTube issues, let's say this video somehow got copyright hidden, right? And let's say one of my big patch note videos got copyright hidden. The patch note videos are viewed for longer, they're viewed more often, and they are my main videos at this point. So if this somehow got DMCA'd, that'd be a very large hit to me for the month, right? Because I only get 2 of them a month. And Patreon means that I have a consistent, more steadier income, and it really helps. It really helps. So I am baiting you guys into doing that. You can say I'm begging or selling out, but no, fuck you. It's a business. So subscribe to my Patreon. There's a $3 option. It really helps me. So thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Have a great day or night, rest of your time. Thank you, everybody.